Joyce Tseng coming to you from Taipei with the latest news. The first group of tourists from China's Fujian province has arrived in Taiwan's outlying islands of Matsu after Beijing partially lifted its Cross-Strait travel ban. The group of 28 people was greeted by county officials. China has allowed its citizens from its southeastern Fujian province to resume travel to Taiwan, but only to Matsu, after a meeting with Kuomintang officials in April. Travel between the two sides has been largely blocked for years because of the pandemic and cross-strait tensions. Yilan County's education officials have been found responsible for serious negligence after a middle school student took her own life 4 years ago. The student's parents have been fighting to get their daughter's case properly heard after it was dismissed by county officials. Years after their daughter's death, parents of a middle school girl who died by suicide have their claims heard and honored. Taiwan's government watchdog has approved a report finding Yilan County officials seriously negligent in their handling of the case from 2020, when teachers involved were let off with just a warning. They had ignored signs of the students' distress, including self-harm.
故意穿着那个不是长袖的衣服到学校去，露出那些伤痕，那老师看到了，竟然就跟他讲说：“你把他那个遮起来，那个看起来很吓人，这样会吓到同学。”
The student's parents said the teacher had bullied their daughter, causing her to suffer nervous breakdowns and skip classes. When the student's wrongful death case was first investigated, the school said surveillance cameras didn't work and failed to punish its teachers. Such cases are not unique. Reports of teachers bullying students have seen a sharp increase in Taiwan in recent years, with 600 cases in 2023. Just 3% of those were successfully investigated and confirmed. With the backing of the national government, at least in the case of this middle school girl, there's some pressure for change.
对报告的部分，我们会予以尊重，后续也会予以检讨，包含强化学校的督导作为，那落实相关的通报机制，补助学校的监视器设备。
As Taiwan grapples with low birth rates and worsening youth mental health, there are efforts to better protect the country's young people, with mental health days for high schoolers and even reduced exam quotas for elementary schools. But there's still more to do to ensure the safety of Taiwan's children. Joseph Wu and Joyce Tseng for TaiwanPlus. Voters are heading to the polls in the first round of France's two-stage legislative election. Incumbent President Emmanuel Macron will remain in his post after the election, but will be forced to choose a prime minister from the party or alliance that gains a majority. Macron dissolved parliament and called a snap election after his centrist alliance lost out to the right-wing National Rally in the recent European elections. The anti-immigrant party is placing high in opinion polls. The second phase of the election will begin on July 7th. Bolivia's former Army General Juan José Zuniga has been transferred to a maximum security prison after last week's coup attempt. He's serving 6 months in preventative detention before standing trial for his involvement in the failed coup against Bolivian President Luis Arce. Last Wednesday, military units gathered outside the government palace in La Paz. An armored vehicle broke down the doors, letting soldiers flood in. After a confrontation with the president, Zuniga was arrested. He's been charged with terrorism and coordinating an armed uprising. Zuniga denies staging a coup and says he was following orders from the president. North Korea has criticized a joint military exercise by South Korea, Japan, and the U.S., saying the three countries have created an Asian version of NATO. The three allies began large-scale drills dubbed Freedom Edge on Thursday. They involve fighter jets and a nuclear-powered U.S. aircraft carrier. The exercise was planned at the landmark three-way summit at Camp David last year to boost defense cooperation amid Pyongyang's weapons tests. Deep in the Himalayas on the India-China border, fragile peace has been hard-won, but at a cost to the herders who make their living from the land. Sally Jensen has more.
Looking after Kashmir goats in the Indian-controlled part of the Himalayan mountains has been the main source of income for 57-year-old Morop Namgyal. But now he's worried about keeping his goats fed. A semi-nomadic Changpa herder, Namgyal is no longer allowed to graze his goats where he used to, a narrow strip on the disputed border between India and China that is now a demilitarized zone. In 2020, hand-to-hand conflict broke out here between the two countries' armies, killing at least 20 Indian and 4 Chinese troops. Since then, a fragile peace has been forged by creating a buffer zone of some 450 square kilometers between the two armies. But it's affecting herders whose goats have grazed in the closed-off area for thousands of years. To help those on their side of the border, India has set up insulated winter huts for the Changpa to live in, a move that could also solidify India's presence on the border. But for the herders, the huts don't make up for the loss of their pasture land.
जो हमारे नोमैड्स का इसका एक्सेस जो है कम हो गया है, लेकिन आर्मी का इसका पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू पॉइंट अलग हो सकता है, लेकिन नोमैड्स का एक्सेस जो है करीब इतने किलोमीटर्स का कम हो गया है.
Around a tenth of the herder families here have stopped rearing goats completely, and in the nearby village, production of Kashmir wool has slumped.
इस हमारा एक तरफ से ये हमारा असम जो गार खेती है, तो इसको खत्म करके हम कैसे जिएगा आगे, है ना जी, ये लोगों के माइंड में ये सोच है.
India and China say keeping the strip of land off limits is for the benefit of regional peace. But for the Changpa herders of the Himalayas, it's come at a huge cost and could threaten their very existence. John Su and Sally Ensign for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's environment minister is urging local industries to start adapting to rising temperatures and extreme weather immediately.
所有的资料都告诉我们说，到2050年，它的冬天只剩下1个月，秋天只剩下1个月，剩下2个月。那这个对当地的产业就会造成很大的冲击。那这个可能在20-30年内就会发生。那所以这个时候就要赶快做好一些产业的准备。
Extreme weather is already wreaking havoc all over the world, including Taiwan. 2023 was the hottest year on record, and 2024 is shaping up to either match or surpass those temperatures. The minister emphasized that as winters become shorter, key industries like hot spring tourism will face big challenges. He urged local governments to start preparing now. A major dog hunt is underway in the southern city of Tainan. Local authorities are looking to capture around a dozen stray dogs after an elderly man was attacked while taking out the garbage, leaving him bloodied and unable to get up. The man was helped by a passerby. Stray dogs are common in rural parts of Taiwan. Authorities are trying to get more aggressive breeds off the streets while finding homes for working breeds. Laughter, tears, and activism punctuated this year's Golden Melody Awards, celebrating the best musicians from the Chinese-speaking world and Taiwan's indigenous communities. Reese Ayers reports on the big and short winners of the night.
After a brief struggle with the microphone, winner of Best New Artist and Best Indigenous Language Album, Macav, full of praise for the community of Indigenous musicians who helped her reach the pinnacle of Taiwan's music scene at just 20 years old.
也谢谢纳乌啊，我的老板阿宝人人，要感谢袁敏慧，然后谢谢你们的补助，让我可以做专辑，因为我们没有钱，我们很穷。
Macav wasn't the only performer struggling with sound at the Golden Melody Awards, often called the Grammys of the Chinese-speaking world. 46-year-old MC Hot Dog's mic cut out midway through his guest performance. But it didn't dampen the mood. MC Hot Dog went on to take home the Best Male Mandarin Singer Award.
MC Hot Dog!
and gave a special shout-out during his acceptance speech.
今天很刚好，今天是我女儿的生日，我知道她在电视机前面，祝你生日快乐。那我本来跟她讲说，如果我没有得奖的话，我11点就回来了。可是今天爸爸要喝到早上，拜拜。
Industry veteran Huang Fei took home her third award for Best Female Taiwanese Singer, paying tribute to her late parents in an emotional interview.
其实有一点小遗憾，我真的很希望我这座奖是我爸爸妈妈还在世的时候，他们应该有来到现场。
And indie rock group No Party for Caodong took home 3 coveted prizes: Album of the Year, Best Mandarin Album, and Best Band, though none could be there to accept their awards. But making headlines at this year's event was Taiwanese singer Panay. Outside of her singing career, Panay has long been an activist for indigenous rights in Taiwan, recently ending an almost 8-year stint living in a tent in the 228 Memorial Park outside the presidential office in the capital Taipei, a protest calling on the government to return land to indigenous peoples. Now, after winning Best Taiwanese Album, Panay used her stage time to bring attention to another important issue.
虽然我们不一样的族群，在我们这个母亲这个岛上，我们都有不一样的苦难，但是有一件事情，今天晚上也请你们一定要记得，金曲奖35年，你们知道吗？天安门事件也是刚好35年。 我们都不要忘记，台湾加油！
No artists from China attended the ceremony, despite several nominations and winners. Alongside the Golden Bell and Golden Horse Awards, events like these have become a platform for performers to make political statements, sometimes leading to Chinese boycotts. But the awards are mostly a celebration of music, recognizing talent across a range of languages and providing a valuable platform for artists from some of Taiwan's lesser-known native cultures. Scott Huang and Reese Ayres for TaiwanPlus.
Documentary makers from Taiwan and Japan are collaborating on a project on one of Taiwan's most popular attractions. Alishan, Harel Hughes tells us more.
A journey into one of Taiwan's most popular sites, the forests of Alishan. This train line has existed for over a century, built to transport lumber during Japan's occupation of Taiwan. It's now a passenger train and considered one of the most beautiful mountain railways in the world. Over the years, floods and landslides have left parts of the line damaged and closed off. But after 15 years of restoration, the full rail line is finally reopening.
这个蒸汽车修复的同事，靠着我们去找资料的力量，去把它整合文字，跟让有图片，用留下中文文字可以做传承的模式。这一段真的是有一点苦头啊。
A documentary crew from Taiwan Public Television Service, the parent organization of TaiwanPlus, and Japan's NHK, collaborated to film the restoration, along with the scenery of Alishan and its cultural significance. They used ultra-high 8K video quality to capture the area's natural beauty, set to an orchestra soundtrack, with narration by Taiwanese actress Gui Lunmei.
这条铁道是阿里山的命脉。 穿梭纵横在起伏的山峦之间。
It's a project the producers say is invaluable to Taiwan's culture and history.
业的铁道文化，它是台湾一个非常非常重要的文化資產。
記録として残す際に、やはり当時の私たちが見たそのままを記録し残していけるっていうのが一つ大きなメリットになります。
The documentary premiered at Chiang Kai-shek Memorial in Taipei, aiming to share the beauty and significance of Alishan with the world. Devin Tsai and Harel Hughes for TaiwanPlus.
Keep an eye on TaiwanPlus. We'll have this documentary on our channel in the future. Thanks for watching What's Up Taiwan. I'm Joyce. See you next time.